Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monique Macrin and thank you so much for clicking on this video. So I make lifestyle and family content, and as a wellness advocate I always throw in like sprinkles of health content here and there. But today I want to do something very different. Not so different because it's also wellness related, but it's different from my usual. So I was just having lunch and I got on TikTok, and right now on TikTok, like ukiscroll tu kidogo hivi, you have to see something about Brian Chira. And you see, I have my thoughts and I feel like I shouldn't just keep quiet with them. I feel so convicted to share this. So there's something that Brian Chira's death, there's something about Brian Chira's death that we need to talk about. There's something we need to learn from it. You see, first of all, may his soul rest in peace. And I feel so sad because I think this is a young guy who had like a very bright future. This is someone who would have probably changed the world in ways that we can't even start to imagine. And why I think about it that way is because look at his funeral. Like, so many people attended the funeral. Like, I was actually seeing these clips when cars were passing along Kiambu, and even mamas, those mama mboga, people in the market who didn't even know who Chira was, they stood and actually waved at his car. That means a lot. We've lost so many people who have contributed a lot, like people who have positively impacted the society and people who have been so popular. But I just feel like Brian Chira's death and burial was just different. It brought people together, both the old generation, like, you know, generation X, Y, Z, the millennials. It brought people together. It got people, it sparked like conversations. It got people talking about gayism, about Gen Zs, about mental health, about HIV, and AIDS as well. So I feel like this is one death that has united Kenyans in a way that I actually don't remember any other death that has brought Kenyans together like that. And it's for that reason that I feel this was a premature death. It's a premature death because it seems like this guy had such a bright star. It seems like this guy was here on earth for a greater purpose, but for some reason this star has been taken away from him and from us as a society prematurely. And I'm making this video because I feel like we have played a part in it. We as a society, myself inclusive, because it was clear to everyone that Chira was suffering mentally. It was clear to everyone that this young guy needed our help, needed our warmth, needed our kindness. But most of the time people just abused him. Most of the time people insulted him. Why? Because of his, I don't know if he was gay, but there were conversations about that. And he himself actually insinuated that he was. But you see what? We are all God's children. We are all human, and being human means that we have weaknesses. We are prone to sinful ways. And by the way, let me tell you, for anyone who is a Christian, there is no big sin and a small sin. If you cheat, if you steal, if you abuse each other, there's no big difference between you and someone who is gay. If at all being gay is a sin. You see me, I'm not going to sit here and say that being gay is sin. I'm not God. I don't know. So if we thought he was sinful, then we should have accommodated him, because we are also sinners. We cheat, we lie, we steal. So what is this thing that makes the society feel like they are better than someone like him? Because when you looked at his comment section, there were so many people who used to abuse him. But what really triggered me to make this video is how most of us, even us who know a little bit about mental health, kept quiet. You know, And if we talked, we never talked loud enough, or we gave up too soon. I feel like Brian Chira just needed someone to be kind enough, to be brave enough, to actually seek out and go to him and hold his hand, take him through rehabilitation, take him through counseling. He just needed someone to hold his hand and help him walk back to his purpose, to hold his hand and help him walk through this dark phase of life that he seemed to be going through. But what did we do? We just watched. Sometimes we whispered about it. Sometimes we told him, Chira, you need therapy. But telling someone they need therapy is not just enough. How about actually reaching out and even offering to pay for therapy sessions? Because for all we know, probably he didn't even have the money, or maybe he had money, but we all know he was also taking care of his cousins back at home. He was taking care of his grandma, and he was also a student. And at this point, I actually remember the university, at some point, they suspended him. I'm not sure if he went back to school, but they suspended him from school. And I just want to ask this to any institution of high learning. At what point do we decide that this person is chaotic and they do not deserve a bright future? Because by suspending him and not sending him through disciplinary actions that actually commits him to rehabilitation or counseling, are we not denying these young people a probable bright future? You see, so I feel like, first of all, it was so wrong of the university to suspend him just because he talked ill about someone. And by the way, I'm a fan of Aziad, and I like that lady. I like what she's all about, and she had every right to go after Chira because Chira did something wrong. But I have a problem with how the university handled it. It should have taken his hand. He was their child, They should have been like, okay, we don't like how you're projecting the image of the university, so we are committing you to mandatory counseling sessions. We are committing you to rehabilitation, because that higher institution should not be all about academics and PR. They should be all about bringing up a 360 molded individual, because in the society we survive not only because of our academics, but because of our social skills, our interpersonal skills, our soft skills. It goes more than the academics. So first of all, I think the university failed him at the point where they suspended him. Allegedly, let me use the word allegedly because this is information that I learned from the internet, and I am not so sure if they did this in person, but if they did that, then that was so wrong. Now, let me come back to us as a society. We should have tried harder to help Brian Chira. Those people who are close to him should have actually visited him and consoled him and talked to him on a friendly basis and told him, you know what, Chiraya, you're going through a hard phase. And life is just like that. Life was never meant to be easy, but you have wounds that you need to heal. You need counseling. You need to address your mental health so that you can become the best version of yourself. He needed someone to one day just take that bottle of beer and tell him, you don't have to be a slave of alcohol. You don't have to use alcohol to numb your pains. Like, I just feel like we failed this guy, and I'm so convinced watching those videos, watching how people turned out for him. It's a sure sign that we have lost a great person, and we will never realize his purpose in this earth. He will never realize it because he's gone, and we as a society, we will never be able to realize what purpose he was meant to serve, because it was a premature death, and we played a part in it directly and indirectly, because I believe that our destinies are all interconnected. The reason we say that be kind to everyone, because you don't know what the demons that they are facing, is because sometimes smiling at someone, asking someone how their day was, genuinely could save someone's life. It could make someone who was losing hope on humanity, someone who was feeling like life is so bad, it can make that someone feel like, oh wow, this stranger has been so kind to me. Maybe there's something better for me in life, So our destinies are all interconnected. If the There's something I want all of us to take from Brian Chira'S death is to be our brother's keepers. It's about kindness, basically being human and accommodating each other with our flaws. If you don't believe in someone's spirituality, if you don't believe in their ways of life, they don't have to be enemies. You don't have to insult them. Trust me. Probably that is a coping mechanism for them. Probably that is what they used to numb them. Instead of that, just be nice. Keep your distance. If the only thing you have to tell them and do to them is ugly and unkind and inhumane, just keep your distance. Well, that's it. So I hope when we see someone else crying out for help, because I believe Chira was doing that in so many ways. If we see someone else crying out for help, may we have the grace to hold their hand. May we have the grace to connect them to people who can help them. May we stop judging too harshly. May we stop being assistant gods, because we are not. Yeah. And I'm saying this because I know it was a road accident, but from the report, he was coming from a club and he had already caused chaos in the club. And we already know Chira was dealing with alcoholism, you see. So probably if he was sober on that specific day, he would have probably made better judgment when crossing the road. I don't know if he was at fault or the driver was at fault, but you see, when you're sober, you can be able to tell this driver seems careless, so let me just wait for this car to pass before I cross the road. Or probably he would have been able to run even faster. I'm working with what ifs, but you see, if someone had helped him to fight, to cope with his troubles in a more healthier way, he may have not resorted to alcoholism. It might not have gotten worse. So on that specific day, probably he might not have felt the need to go to a club and overindulge in alcohol, and maybe he would have made better judgment when crossing that road, and probably today he would be here with us. But it's too late. He's not there. But still, in his death, he has taught us lessons. He has taught us kindness. He has taught us that mental health is real. That mental health is something that we need to be vocal about. It's something that we need to give the deserved attention, you see. Because as a country with so many people, how come we only have one well-facilitated mental health institution? That is Mathare Hospital. You know, apart from Mathare Hospital, I don't know of any other public hospital dealing with mental health. And what is worse, even NHIF, does it really cover for mental health? Does it cover counseling sessions? Does it cover medication for depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, all those things? They're here with us. So I just wish that we can use this chance to be loud about mental health. And also his death has taught us about HIV. You know, I know we've been silent about HIV because of the stigma, but is the silence the best way to go? Because now I'm combining this Brian Chira'S issue with what Kemunto posted on her TikTok. I feel like Gen Z have not experienced the HIV and AIDS education that we, the millennials, encountered. In these days, no one talks about it anymore. No one really insists on the I'm trying to find a good word, on the seriousness of this pandemic. And in our silence, we are masking the problem and we are living like it doesn't exist. So these young generations probably think that HIV is just, something that we don't need to talk about. So Brian Chira'S death should also make us find better ways of talking about HIV as well. And alcoholism. My God. So many people in our midst are suffering from alcoholism and from alcoholism. So I hope we'll keep talking about this. I hope more people will engage in these discussions around mental health, around depression, around HIV, around alcoholism, because from where I sit, it is something that Chira'S death has shown us, like as a society, it's something that Chira'S death has triggered in our minds, and we shouldn't be just we should just be silent. We should talk about it with the aim of helping, of course, not to bash each other. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk, and I hope this video is going to be received gently, because trust me, it comes from a very gentle space in my heart, and I just felt I kept quiet when I saw Brian Chira suffering. I wish I said something nice. I wish I said I was kind and tried to show him that